Hey there, and welcome back to Morning Manna. Yesterday we focused on how acknowledgement gives way for an opportunity to allow God to bring healing in the places we so often try to cover. Today, I want to highlight how obedience can bring about total restoration by faith. So let's pick back up at verses 8 through 13, and it reads, "When Elisha the man of God heard that the king of Israel had torn his robes, he sent him this message: 'Why have you torn your robe? Have the man come to me, and he will know that there is a prophet in Israel.' So Naaman went with his horses and his chariots and stopped at the door of Elisha's house. Elisha sent a message to say to him, 'Go, wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan, and your flesh will be restored and you'll be cleansed.' But Naaman went away angry and said, 'I thought he would surely have come out to me and stand and call on the Lord his God and wave his hand over the spot and cure me of my leprosy. Are not Abana and Pharpar, the rivers of Damascus, better than the waters of Israel? Couldn't I wash in them and be cleansed?' So he turned and went off in rage." Verse 13, Naaman's servant went to him and said, "My father, if the prophet had told you to do something great, would you not have done it? How much more then will when he tells you to wash and be cleansed?" So he went down, dipped himself in the Jordan 7 times, as the man of God had told him, and his flesh was restored and became clean, like that of a young boy. The prophet sends the instruction to Naaman to go and wash in the Jordan 7 times, saying that your flesh shall be restored and you'll be clean. These were very simple and uncomplicated instructions. Yet, as Naaman's reaction demonstrated, his pride overweighed his ability to be vulnerable in that moment. It overweighed his ability to be submissive to the prophet's word. After all, he was a hero, so he probably didn't think that he was going to receive that type of instruction. But if Naaman wanted to receive healing, it would have required obedience. I think we can all relate to Naaman, as there are often times where we have a different expectation than what God often brings. We assume that God is supposed to give us vengeance, maybe for the hurt that someone caused, or maybe there's this divine touch from heaven to change the way we feel somehow. There's this assumption that God is going to package what we need in some extravagant form. But like the story of Naaman, sometimes God offers what we need in the most unexpected ways. Finally, Naaman did exactly what Elisha told him to do. Naaman plunged himself in the river 7 times. We see here that because of Naaman's obedience, his flesh was restored and he was clean. Naaman's response of faith was generously rewarded by God. God answered his faith with complete and miraculous healing. You see, this is what happens when we remove our pride and in exchange, allow ourselves to obey God. Obedience to God begins with humility. We must believe that his way is always better than our own, even when it doesn't look the way we thought. We may not always understand his ways of working, but we must humbly obey. And when we do that, we will receive his blessings. We must also remember 3 things. The first is God's ways are best. Second, God wants our obedience for our own good. And third, God can use anything and anyone to accomplish his purpose. Here's what I want to encourage you. Don't let your inability of being vulnerable and obedience to be the chasm between where you are and the healing that God so wants to give you. Well, God bless you, and we'll see you again here tomorrow for day 5 of Morning Manna.